Welcome to Cybersecurity HQ's Daily News Report for March 4th, 2025.
Buckle up.
Today,
It's going to be a wild ride.
today we're diving deep into the critical cybersecurity news impacting the industry.
And there's a lot to unpack.
Get this.
Okay.
Despite 55% of organizations increasing ICS/OT security budgets in the past 2 years, only 9% dedicate full-time staff to this area.
Yeah, that's a head-scratcher for sure.
Clearly, something's not adding up.
It's a disconnect we can't ignore. Let's break down these vulnerabilities,
Great.
attacks, and trends and see what's really going on.
Right into it then.
Let's do it.
Starting with a reality check.
Get me.
25% of organizations reported security incidents hitting their operational technology or control systems last year.
Oof, that's a big number.
And
Yeah.
a whopping 57% of those cases started with compromised IT environments.
It's the classic attack path.
Right.
You know, exploiting that connection between IT and OT.
It's the interconnected nature of security. Attackers are exploiting the weakest link.
Always looking for the easiest way in.
And often,
Yeah.
that's the IT network providing a bridge to the more critical OT systems.
The soft underbelly.
We're not talking about website defacements here.
No.
These breaches could impact power grids, water treatment plants, even manufacturing facilities.
The kind of stuff that keeps society running.
That's a serious stuff.
Absolutely.
And to make matters worse,
There's more.
Dragos has identified 2 new players in this space.
Okay, who are we dealing with?
A RAND-linked Bauxite, also known as CyberAv3ers,
Right.
and Russia-linked Graphite.
Also known as APT-28.
Yeah, APT-28.
Notorious bunch.
So that brings the total number of groups with advanced ICS attack capabilities to 4.
4 groups with the skills and resources to target critical infrastructure.
That's a scary thought.
It's a reminder that the threat is real and it's evolving.
And as if that wasn't enough,
Okay, lay it on me.
ransomware attacks against industrial organizations are up a staggering 87% compared to 2023.
Wow, that's a huge jump.
There are now 80 different ransomware groups actively targeting them.
Ransomware is a business.
Yeah.
And business is booming, unfortunately.
These attackers know that disrupting critical operations can cripple an organization,
They're going after the jugular.
making them more likely to pay hefty ransoms.
It's all about the money.
We're also seeing new ransomware as a service operations,
Oh, really? Like what?
like Anubis,
Anubis.
with sophisticated affiliate programs.
Interesting.
They're going after Windows, Linux, ANS,
Okay.
ESS,
Got it.
you name it.
So basically anything they can get their hands on.
And healthcare institutions seem to be squarely in their crosshairs.
Healthcare. That's a worrying trend.
2 confirmed Anubis victims so far are in the healthcare sector.
Makes sense, I guess.
This raises serious concerns.
Yeah.
These organizations are already under immense pressure. And a ransomware attack could disrupt patient care with life or death consequences.
We're talking about people's lives here.
It's a terrifying thought.
You tout.
Then there's the VMware.net,
The Vonen botnet.
now controlling over 1.6 million Android TV boxes.
That's a lot of devices.
They've upped their game with RSA encryption for command and control,
So they're getting more sophisticated.
making them tougher to detect and dismantle.
That's not good.
And it's not just about ad revenue anymore.
No. What else are they after?
With that many devices under their control,
Right.
they could launch DDoS attacks,
Uh-huh.
steal data,
Okay.
or even become a platform for spreading other malware.
A botnet of that size could do some serious damage.
What's particularly concerning
Yeah.
is that Brazil accounts for nearly 25% of the infected devices.
A potential hotbed for targeted attacks.
It's been a busy month for patching Zero-Days, too.
Always something new to worry about.
Broadcom had to scramble to fix 3 actively exploited vulnerabilities in VMware products.
VMware. That's a big one.
The most critical one,
Okay.
CVE 2025-2022-24,
Let me write that down.
allows local privilege escalation,
Uh-huh.
which can lead to complete host-level code execution.
So basically, game over for the compromised system.
Zero-day exploits are like ticking time bombs.
Yeah, and this one's a doozy.
And this one's particularly dangerous because it was reported by Microsoft,
Thumper sauce.
suggesting it may have already been used in targeted attacks.
Oh boy.
Organizations need to patch this immediately.
No time to waste.
Google's also been busy patching actively exploited Android vulnerabilities.
Always seems to be something with Android.
One allows a bypass of a framework component,
Right.
and the other is a Linux kernel vulnerability.
Okay.
And get this,
Same listing.
Amnesty International revealed that Celebrate,
Celebrate the digital forensics company.
yeah, the digital forensics company,
Okay.
was using an exploit chain targeting these flaws to break into Android devices.
Oh, that's disturbing.
Disturbing, to say the least.
Yeah, to say the least.
Celebrate's tools are used by law enforcement worldwide.
I know. I've seen them in action.
The fact that they were exploiting these vulnerabilities raises serious questions about potential abuse and unlawful surveillance.
You're telling me?
Their exploit chain was sophisticated,
Hmm.
targeting core Linux USB drivers.
So this could potentially affect a lot of devices.
And the kicker is,
yeah.
it could affect over 1 billion Android devices.
1 billion. That's a huge number.
Thankfully, Google's working on mitigations,
That's good to hear.
but it's still a major concern.
No doubt about it.
This underscores the complexity of securing interconnected systems.
It's like a giant spider web.
A single vulnerability can have ripple effects across a vast ecosystem.
One weak link can bring the whole thing down.
And because this one targets core Linux drivers,
Right.
the potential impact goes far beyond just Android smartphones.
It's a reminder that everything is connected these days.
It's a reminder that we all need to be vigilant about keeping our devices updated.
Absolutely keep those updates coming.
And speaking of updates,
Okay.
Qualcomm and MediaTek also patched critical vulnerabilities in their chipsets this month.
Chipset vulnerabilities are always a concern.
Chipset vulnerabilities are tricky,
Right.
because they can affect a wide range of devices and are often difficult to patch.
It's like trying to fix the foundation of a house after it's already built.
Users need to install updates promptly to minimize their exposure.
Agreed. The sooner the better.
Then we have this bring your own vulnerable driver technique popping up in ransomware attacks.
EYOVD, what's that all about?
Attackers are exploiting a flaw in the Paragon hard disk manager driver to escalate privileges.
Okay, so they're using a legitimate driver for malicious purposes.
The scary part is,
Yeah.
you don't even need the Paragon software installed for this to work because the driver is signed by Microsoft.
So it bypasses security checks because it looks like a trusted component.
Attackers are getting crafty.
No kidding, they're always one step ahead.
This driver flaw allows them to gain deeper access to systems.
And once they're in, they can do a lot of damage.
The Microsoft signature adds another layer of complexity because it can bypass some security checks that rely on trust.
It's a reminder that even trusted sources can be compromised.
Remember that Kripano Virtual Tour software vulnerability from 2020.
Kripano vaguely rings a bell.
CVE 2020-24901.
Oh yeah, that one.
It's back to haunt us.
Old vulnerabilities never die, do they?
A massive spam campaign is exploiting its reflected cross-site scripting flaw to redirect users from legitimate websites to malicious ones.
Classic social engineering.
This shows how old vulnerabilities can come back with a vengeance.
It's like a zombie attack.
Attackers often exploit known flaws because they're easier to target,
Right.
especially if patches haven't been widely applied.
Patching is crucial, but it's often overlooked.
And with a large-scale spam campaign,
Mm-hmm.
the potential for widespread impact is huge.
Definitely a cause for concern.
And finally,
Sure.
CISA is warning about the active exploitation of a vulnerability in Oracle Agile PLM.
Oracle, another big target.
CVE 2024-2953.
I'll make a note of that.
It's a deserialization issue that could allow attackers to execute arbitrary code.
So basically, they can take control of the affected system.
Oracle products are juicy targets for attackers because they're widely used in enterprise environments.
They're a prime target for attackers.
This vulnerability is especially troubling because it could be exploited by low-privileged attackers.
Meaning they don't need high-level access to inflict serious damage.
CISA has set a deadline for federal agencies to patch it.
That's a clear indication of the severity of this threat.
The ransomware world never sleeps.
Unfortunately not.
Qilin Ransomware,
Where?
the group that hit 75 U.S. newspapers,
Oh, yeah, that was a big story.
is now threatening to release 350 gigabytes of sensitive data if their ransom demands aren't met.
350 gigabytes. That's a lot of data.
It's not just about encrypting data anymore.
Right.
Attackers are stealing it and using it as leverage to increase pressure on their victims.
Double extortion.
This double extortion tactic makes recovery much more difficult for organizations already dealing with operational disruptions.
It's a nightmare scenario.
Speaking of ransomware insights,
Okay.
we have a fascinating leak of over 200,000 Black Basta chat logs.
Black Basta chat logs. Where did those come from?
What's intriguing
Yeah.
is there are hints they may have targeted Russian banks.
Russian banks. That's a bold move.
It raises questions about the internal dynamics and motivations of these groups.
Are they purely financially motivated, or are there other factors at play?
This leak provides a rare glimpse into their operations
It could be a gold mine of intelligence.
and could help law enforcement disrupt their activities.
Let's hope so.
Now for a bit of good news.
Bring me some good news.
Mimic,
Kip?
a company developing a real-time ransomware defense platform,
Okay.
just raised $50 million in funding.
That's a significant investment.
They've got this unique signal generator that simulates attacks to help organizations assess and improve their security posture.
So they're helping organizations prepare for the worst.
This is a positive sign. It shows there's a growing demand for effective ransomware defense solutions that go beyond traditional security tools.
The market is responding to the threat.
Mimic's approach of real-time detection, response, and proactive simulation could be a valuable asset in the fight against ransomware.
It's a good sign that companies are innovating in this space.
And in a surprising turn of events,
Okay, what happened?
authorities managed to seize $31 million in cryptocurrency stolen during the 2021 uranium finance hack.
Wow, that's a big win for law enforcement.
Blockchain intelligence firm TRM Labs played a key role in tracing the funds.
Blockchain intelligence is becoming increasingly important in these types of investigations.
While this is a win for law enforcement, it's worth noting that tracing and recovering stolen cryptocurrency isn't always this successful.
It's often like trying to find a needle in a haystack.
Right. A case in point
Okay.
is the FBI's confirmation that North Korea was behind the $1.5 billion Bybit hack.
North Korea. Not surprised.
However, only a measly 3% of the stolen cryptocurrency has been recovered so far.
That's a drop in the bucket.
This highlights the challenges of attributing and recovering funds from state-sponsored attacks.
It's a whole different ball game when you're dealing with nation states.
North Korea in particular has a track record of using stolen cryptocurrency to support its regime and evade sanctions.
They've become quite adept at it.
Now, shifting our focus to nation-state activity.
Okay, let's talk geopolitics.
Poland's space agency.
PolSA.
Yeah, PolSA
Okay.
was hit by a cyber attack and had to disconnect its network from the internet.
That's never a good sign.
Given Poland's support for Ukraine,
Right.
a nation-state attack is certainly a possibility.
With the ongoing conflict, it's definitely on the table.
This incident highlights the increasing geopolitical tensions playing out in cyberspace.
Cyberspace has become a battleground.
Nation-state actors are increasingly using cyber attacks to disrupt critical infrastructure, steal sensitive information, or advance their political agendas.
It's all part of the game.
With the ongoing conflict in Ukraine,
Right.
we can expect to see more of these types of attacks targeting countries that support Ukraine.
It's an unfortunate reality.
And while there are reports that offensive cyber operations against Russia might be paused,
Interesting.
CISA has made it clear that their stance on defending against Russian cyber threats hasn't changed.
So they're not letting their guard down.
The threat from Russian cyber activity remains significant.
They have a long history of aggressive operations.
They have a long history of aggressive operations.
And despite any potential shifts in policy,
Right.
CISA's continued vigilance is a reminder that the cyber threat landscape is constantly evolving.
And organizations need to be prepared to adapt their defenses accordingly. Agility is key. The EU has also taken action,
What did they?
imposing sanctions on Lee Chang-ho,
Lee Chang-ho.
the head of North Korea's Reconnaissance General Bureau,
Ah, the RGB.
for his role in cyber attacks and deploying soldiers in Ukraine.
So they're targeting the leadership.
These sanctions are a significant step in holding North Korean leadership accountable for their cyber activity.
It's a way to try to put pressure on them.
Lee Chang-ho is a key figure in their cyber operations.
He's a major player.
And these sanctions aim to disrupt his activities and limit his ability to direct and fund future attacks.
It's a way to try to cut off their funding.
It sends a strong message that the international community is taking North Korea's cyber threats seriously.
It's a united front.
In other news,
Okay.
a Singaporean hacker responsible for over 90 data leaks was arrested in Thailand.
90 data leaks, that's a lot of damage.
He used SQL injection tools and exploited vulnerable RDP servers to gain access to systems worldwide.
Classic hacking techniques.
This arrest underscores the global reach of cybercrime.
Cybercrime knows no borders.
Cybercriminals can operate from anywhere,
Right.
targeting organizations across borders to evade law enforcement.
They're always looking for the path of least resistance.
It also reinforces the importance of basic security hygiene.
Absolutely.
Many of the techniques used by this hacker could have been mitigated with proper security measures.
Prevention is key.
And then we have this sophisticated Chinese botnet that was uncovered.
Chinese botnet, what's the story there?
He was using over 130,000 compromised devices to target Microsoft 365 accounts.
That's a significant botnet.
What's concerning
Yeah.
is they were able to bypass multi-factor authentication.
How did they do that?
This shows how attackers are constantly adapting their tactics to overcome security measures.
They're always finding new ways to get around our defenses.
Well, multi-factor authentication is crucial.
Right.
It's not foolproof.
Nothing is foolproof in cybersecurity.
Attackers are finding ways to exploit vulnerabilities in implementations or using social engineering techniques to trick users into revealing their credentials.
It's a constant cat and mouse game.
And finally,
Okay, what else is there?
there's AutoColor, a new backdoor malware targeting universities and government entities in North America and Asia. It uses sophisticated evasion techniques and gives attackers complete remote access to compromised systems.
Sounds like a serious threat.
This is a classic example of an advanced, persistent threat group at work.
They're in it for the long haul.
They're using custom-developed malware with advanced capabilities to target high-value organizations,
They're going after the crown jewels.
likely seeking to steal sensitive information or intellectual property.
Espionage and intellectual property theft are big business.
The use of evasion techniques makes this malware especially dangerous,
It's like a stealth fighter.
as it can slip past traditional security tools.
It's a reminder that we need to be constantly evolving our defenses.
We've covered a lot of ground today,
We have.
but the journey through this week's cybersecurity news isn't over yet.
There's more to come.
Stay tuned for part 2 of our deep dive, where we'll explore the latest in corporate security news,
Okay.
AI security developments,
Uh-huh.
industry trends,
Mm-hmm.
and privacy concerns.
Sounds like a plan. The corporate world, it's a prime target.
Always has been.
And the threats they face, they're constantly evolving.
It's like they're playing whack-a-mole.
Exactly. So let's dive into some recent developments making waves in corporate security.
CrowdStrike's latest report, it's a bit of a wake-up call.
I saw that one.
They identified 26 new threat groups just in 2024.
26.
Well, that's a lot.
And the breakout time.
Yeah.
That's the time it takes for attackers to gain access to a network after initial compromise.
Right.
Has plummeted to a mere 48 minutes.
48 minutes? That's insane.
It's alarming how quickly and efficiently attackers are moving.
They're getting faster and more sophisticated.
What's even more concerning
Okay.
is that 79% of the attacks CrowdStrike detected were malware-free.
Well, we're free, so how are they getting in?
We're seeing a significant rise in identity-based attacks.
So they're stealing credentials or exploiting misconfigurations.
Exactly, where attackers leverage stolen credentials or exploit misconfigurations to gain access.
That's a whole new ballgame.
So it's not just about blocking malware anymore.
Security teams need to be thinking about identity and access management in a whole new way.
IAM is more important than ever.
Absolutely. And speaking of new approaches,
Yeah.
a startup called Arion Security is making waves with their focus on preventing cloud misconfigurations.
Area and security, I haven't heard of them.
They've already secured $9 million in seed funding,
That's impressive.
preventing misconfigurations before data is even deployed to the cloud.
So they're getting ahead of the problem.
That's a proactive approach we need to see more of.
I agree.
And with a founding team from Israel's elite Matsov unit,
The Matsov unit, those guys are serious.
they clearly have the technical chops.
No doubt about it.
Speaking of expertise,
Okay.
Jamf Chorance, the Apple device management specialist,
Jamf, I know them.
acquired identity automation for $215 million.
$215 million. That's a big acquisition.
They're planning to integrate identity automation's cloud-based platform into their ecosystem.
Makes sense.
This seems like a smart move, especially for educational environments where managing student and faculty access to devices and resources is a constant challenge.
It's a huge market.
Definitely. Identity and access management is a critical component of any security strategy.
Absolutely.
And integrating it with Jamf's existing device management capabilities makes sense.
Synergy at its finest.
But not all corporate news is positive.
Oh no, what happened?
Indian stockbroker Angel One disclosed a data breach that hit their AWS account.
Angel One. I've heard of them.
They're being tight-lipped about the specifics.
Not a good sign.
But their stock price took an 11% hit after the announcement.
Ouch. That's gotta hurt.
This is a perfect example of how data breaches can have a real financial impact.
Reputational damage can be even worse.
Even if an organization contains the breach, The reputational damage and loss of customer trust can be devastating.
Absolutely.
And Angel One's lack of transparency about the details isn't helping.
Transparency is crucial in these situations.
Transparency is key, especially when it comes to breaches. And speaking of transparency,
Okay.
DISA Global Solutions,
Oh.
the employee screening giant,
DISA Global Solutions. I know them.
had to come clean about a data breach affecting 3.3 million individuals.
3.3 million. That's a lot of people.
Names, social security numbers, driver's licenses, financial data.
Yikes. The whole shebang.
It's all out there.
That's a nightmare.
This breach is a sobering reminder of the vast amounts of sensitive data organizations collect and store,
It's like a data honeypot.
and the potential consequences when that data is compromised.
The impact can be huge.
It underscores the need for robust security measures to protect sensitive information, regardless of the organization's size or industry.
Security should be a top priority for everyone.
And then there's the unexpected shutdown of Skybox Security,
Skybox Security, what happened to them?
a cybersecurity startup that had raised over $300 million in funding.
Wow, that's a lot of money.
Their competitor Tufin swooped in to acquire their assets,
So they got scooped up?
offering a lifeline to Skybox's stranded customers.
At least someone's looking out for them.
This is a stark reminder of how volatile the cybersecurity market can be.
It's a tough business.
Despite significant funding and promising technology, Skybox ultimately wasn't able to achieve sustainable growth.
Sometimes it's about more than just the technology.
It highlights the importance of not only innovation, but also effective execution, market positioning, and financial management in this highly competitive industry.
It's a complex equation.
Now let's talk about AI,
AI, the technology that seems to be both a blessing and a curse.
the double-edged sword of cybersecurity,
Exactly. It's a powerful tool with the potential to revolutionize many industries.
including cybersecurity.
Right. But like any tool, it can be used for good or for bad.
In the wrong hands, AI can be used to create highly sophisticated attacks, amplify existing threats, and even automate cybercrime.
It's a force multiplier for both good and bad guys.
Security experts are urging organizations to create AI asset inventories.
AI asset inventory.
It sounds basic, but with the rapid adoption of AI tools, things can get out of hand quickly.
I can see that happening.
We're seeing employees integrate AI into their workflow sometimes without even realizing the security implications.
Shadow AI.
That lack of visibility and control over AI usage within organizations is a real concern.
It's a blind spot.
Without a clear understanding of what AI tools are being used, where they're accessing data, and how they're being configured, organizations are flying blind when it comes to AI security.
It's like driving a car with your eyes closed.
Creating an AI asset inventory is a crucial first step in managing these risks.
It's all about visibility and control.
It seems like we need to get a handle on AI security, especially before quantum computing becomes more widely available.
Quantum computing, that's a whole other level.
The quantum computing race is heating up.
It is.
Google, Microsoft, and Amazon have all unveiled their latest quantum chips,
Okay.
Willow Majorana 1 and Ocelot, respectively.
Interesting names.
Each one tackles the problem of error correction in a different way.
Error correction is the key to making quantum computing practical.
Quantum computing has the potential to transform cybersecurity in profound ways.
It could change everything.
It could revolutionize cryptography, leading to new, virtually unbreakable encryption algorithms.
That would be a game changer.
But it also poses a threat to existing encryption methods, which quantum computers could potentially crack in the future.
So our current encryption methods might become obsolete.
The development of post-quantum cryptography is crucial for staying ahead of this threat.
We need to be prepared for the quantum era.
It's like we need to be preparing for a future where the rules of cybersecurity are completely different.
We're entering uncharted territory.
That's an insightful way to put it. And it's not just about quantum computing.
Right.
We need to anticipate future threats in general.
We need to be proactive.
One company tackling this challenge is Dreadnought, a startup that raised $14 million to develop offensive AI security tools.
Offensive AI, that sounds interesting.
We're essentially creating a training ground for AI agents and tools used for red teaming AI systems.
So they're using AI to fight AI.
Identifying vulnerabilities before attackers can exploit them.
It's like a digital arms race.
So they're using AI to fight AI, almost like a digital arms race.
Precisely as AI becomes more sophisticated and widespread, we need robust security testing methods to ensure these systems are resilient to attacks.
We can't just assume they'll be secure.
Right.
Dreadnought's approach is a proactive step in the right direction.
It's good to see companies taking this seriously.
It's a constant push and pull. We're making progress in some areas, but then new threats emerge.
It's a never-ending battle.
Sometimes it feels like we're running in circles, repeating the same security mistakes over and over again.
It can be frustrating.
It's almost like there's a hidden cost of compliance, where organizations get so caught up in ticking boxes that they lose sight of the bigger picture.
Compliance doesn't always equal security.
You've hit on a critical point. This is a common problem, especially in heavily regulated industries.
I've seen it firsthand.
Organizations often prioritize meeting compliance requirements over implementing truly effective security practices.
It's a check-the-box mentality.
This can lead to a check-the-box mentality, where security becomes a bureaucratic exercise rather than a genuine effort to mitigate risk.
It's a dangerous mindset.
And it's frustrating because we keep seeing organizations fall victim to the same basic security mistakes.
The same old mistakes over and over again.
Poor network segmentation, weak credential hygiene, excessive permissions.
It's a broken record.
It's a combination of factors.
Right.
Lack of awareness, insufficient resources, inadequate training, a culture of complacency,
And let's not forget about the attackers.
and the fact that attackers are constantly finding new ways to exploit weaknesses.
They're always one step ahead.
But it's not all doom and gloom.
Okay, there's some good news.
The Open Source Security Foundation, OpenSSF, has released a security baseline for open source projects.
The Open SSF.
It's a tiered framework of best practices designed to help developers improve the security of their projects as they mature.
That's a great resource for open source developers.
This is a positive step for the open source community, where software is often developed by volunteers who may not have the expertise or resources to implement robust security practices.
It's a much-needed initiative.
The Open SSF Security Baseline provides a clear and actionable roadmap for improving open source security, which benefits everyone who relies on this software.
Open source is everywhere, so this has a huge impact.
And Qualcomm made a big commitment to Android users,
Oh yeah, what's that?
announcing that they'll be extending security support for their chipsets to 8 years.
8 years. That's a long time for Android.
Double the previous time frame.
That's a big improvement.
They're working with Google to make it happen.
It's good to see them working together.
This is a significant development for the Android ecosystem, which has long struggled with fragmentation and inconsistent security updates.
Android updates have always been a bit of a mess.
Extended support means devices will receive critical security patches for much longer, reducing the risk of vulnerabilities being exploited.
It's a big win for Android users.
It's good to see some positive movement, and the cybersecurity M&A scene continues to be active,
Yeah.
with companies merging and acquiring left and right, vying for a bigger piece of the pie.
It's a consolidation trend.
This consolidation trend is driven by a need for specialized expertise, a desire to expand market share, and the increasing complexity of the threat landscape.
It's all about scale and specialization.
Consolidation can benefit customers by leading to more comprehensive and integrated security solutions. But it's essential to ensure that competition remains healthy and that innovation doesn't get stifled in the process.
We need a balance between consolidation and competition.
Now let's step into the world of privacy and regulation, where things are always interesting.
Privacy and regulation, always a hot topic.
There's been quite a bit of controversy surrounding Britain's reported demand for backdoor access to Apple's iCloud data.
Backdoor access, that's a slippery slope.
This demand raises serious concerns about privacy and security.
It undermines trust in technology companies.
Backdoor access weakens encryption, making it easier not only for authorized government agencies to access data, but also potentially for malicious actors.
It's like giving a master key to everyone.
It undermines the fundamental principles of data security and erodes trust in technology companies.
It's a lose-lose situation.
Former presidential candidate Tulsi Gabbard publicly criticized the demand, accusing the British government of overreach and putting citizens' privacy at risk.
Tulsi Gabbard, I remember her.
Apple, in a bold move, has decided to halt its advanced data protection feature for British users rather than comply with the demand.
Wow, they're taking a stand.
Apple's decision is a strong stance in favor of user privacy.
They're putting their money where their mouth is.
They're saying they're not willing to compromise the security of their users' data, even under pressure from a government.
It's a risky move, but it sends a strong message.
This is a significant development in the ongoing debate about encryption and government access to data.
It's a battle that's likely to continue for quite some time.
It's a battle that's likely to continue for quite some time on a more positive note.
Okay, some good news.
A startup called Idera has secured $15 million in funding to develop technology that isolates Kubernetes workloads.
Edera, what do they do?
Their goal is to prevent lateral movement within Kubernetes environments, making it much harder for attackers to gain a foothold and spread throughout a network.
So they're locking down Kubernetes.
Kubernetes security is becoming increasingly critical as more organizations adopt containerization and cloud-native architectures.
Kubernetes is everywhere these days.
Edera's approach of using isolation techniques to secure Kubernetes workloads is a promising strategy for mitigating the risk of container escapes and lateral movement.
It's a smart approach.
This investment reflects the growing demand for specialized security solutions for these modern environments.
The market is responding to the need.
And finally, a few rapid-fire updates.
Hit me.
Google Cloud has outlined its post-quantum encryption strategy.
Okay.
Southern Water in the UK revealed that a Black Basta ransomware attack cost them £4.5 million. The FTC is compensating Avast users over deceptive privacy claims.
Good for them.
And Krispy Kreme disclosed that last year's ransomware attack cost them a whopping $11 million.
Donuts are expensive.
These updates highlight the diverse range of challenges and developments we're seeing in cybersecurity today.
It's a constantly evolving landscape.
From the emergence of new technologies like quantum computing to the persistent threat of ransomware attacks, the landscape is constantly evolving.
We need to stay vigilant.
This underscores the need for organizations to stay informed, adapt their security strategies, and prioritize both technological solutions and human awareness.
It's all about being prepared.
We've covered a lot of ground today, but, I want to circle back to something we touched on earlier.
Yeah, what's that?
The disconnect between recognizing the importance of ICS/OT security and actually dedicating the resources to address it.
Yeah, it's a common problem.
It's a common theme in cybersecurity.
Yeah.
We see the threat, we acknowledge the risk, but then we hesitate to invest in the solutions.
It's the age-old problem of short-term thinking versus long-term planning.
And in the case of ICS/OT, part of the problem is that it's a specialized field, often reliant on legacy systems.
Right. It's not your typical IT environment.
It's not as simple as just deploying the latest antivirus software.
No, it's much more complex than that.
And the stakes are much higher.
Absolutely.
We're talking about potential disruptions to critical infrastructure.
The kind of stuff that can have a real impact on people's lives.
And we're seeing reports highlighting how critical areas like network visibility monitoring and secure remote access are often underfunded.
Despite their potential return on investment?
Despite their potential ROI, organizations seem hesitant to make the leap, even when the benefits are clear.
It's a tough sell sometimes.
And then there's the human element.
Right.
Finding and retaining skilled cybersecurity professionals is tough enough as it is.
It's a constant challenge.
But it's even more challenging in the ICS/OT space.
Yeah, you need a very specific skill set.
You need people who understand not only IT security, but also industrial processes, control systems, and the potential physical impact of a cyber attack.
It's a rare combination of skills and expertise.
It's a rare combination of skills and expertise, and the demand far outweighs the supply.
It's a seller's market for sure.
So what's the takeaway here? With everything we've discussed today, the shrinking breakout times, the increasingly sophisticated attacks, the evolving threat landscape, what steps should organizations take to adapt their security strategies?
Well, first and foremost, they need to shift from a reactive to a proactive mindset.
Be proactive, not reactive.
Exactly. Waiting for an incident to happen before investing in security is a recipe for disaster.
It's like waiting for your house to catch fire before buying a fire extinguisher.
Exactly. And it's not just about throwing money at the problem.
All right.
It's about understanding the unique risks they face, developing a comprehensive security strategy, and making sure they have the right people and resources in place to execute that strategy.
It's about having a plan and the resources to carry it out.
Absolutely. And they need to prioritize both technological solutions and human awareness.
So it's not just about the tech.
No technology alone isn't enough.
We need to educate employees about the threats, train them on best practices, and create a culture of security within the organization.
Security awareness is crucial.
It's a shared responsibility. Cybersecurity isn't just the IT department's problem, it's everyone's problem.
We're all in this together.
From the C-suite to the front lines, we all play a role in safeguarding our digital world.
Well said.
And as always, staying informed is crucial.
Absolutely. Knowledge is power.
That's where Cybersecurity HQ comes in. We're a community with a job board news, in-depth reports, and a weekly newsletter read by over 70,000 cybersecurity professionals.
That's a great resource.
We're here to help you navigate this ever-changing landscape and stay ahead of the curve.
Stay safe out there, everyone.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the latest cybersecurity news.
It's been a pleasure.
Until next time, stay vigilant and stay safe out there.